So let's talk about the U.S. housing market. It's in a really tough spot, right? Affordability is at crisis levels, and people are nervous. So you have to ask, why is Lennar, one of the biggest home builders in the country, not just holding on, but actually building more? It seems counterintuitive, but they have a plan. Let's dive in and unpack their pretty bold strategy.
And hey, don't just take it from me. This is straight from Lennar's executive chairman, Stuart Miller. He's basically telling us, look, we know things are tough. This isn't an accident. It's a very deliberate, long-term play. They're convinced that by pushing through this downturn now, they're setting themselves up for a massive win when the market finally turns around.
Okay, so first things first. To really get what Lennar is doing, we have to understand the environment they're in. And it's not just a little dip, it's more like a perfect storm of challenges for anyone trying to build and sell a home right now.
I mean, this is really the heart of the problem, isn't it? An affordability crisis. It's a term that gets thrown around a lot, but it's very real. After years of not building enough homes, you throw in inflation and sky-high interest rates, and suddenly the dream of owning a home is just slipping away from millions of families.
And all these pressures are just compounding on each other. It's a really tricky situation. You've got this massive shortage of homes, which you'd think would push prices up, but at the same time, high interest rates and shaky confidence mean that a lot of people just can't afford to buy, even if they want to. It's this classic squeeze, and Lennar is operating right in the thick of it.
So, given all those headwinds, how did Lennar actually do? When the rubber meets the road. Let's take a look at their latest numbers and see what the real-world impact of their strategy looks like.
Okay, this table tells such a fascinating story. Just look at the top two lines. Deliveries and new orders are both up. New orders are up a whopping 18%. So they are absolutely selling more homes. That's exactly what they wanted. But then you look at the bottom two lines. The average price is down, and their gross margin, that's their profit on each home, has taken a huge hit. It's dropped over 5 full percentage points. They're moving product, all right, but wow, it is costing them.
Yeah, let's just pause on that number. A 17% gross margin is tight. I mean, really tight. For a massive operation like home building, where you've got so many costs, every single percentage point counts. This number right here just shows you how much pressure they're feeling.
And this is why that margin is so low. 14%. To get buyers in the door, to make the numbers work for them, Lennar is offering incentives, things like buying down the mortgage rate that are worth, on average, 14% of the home's price. They are literally sacrificing today's profit to keep that volume up and hold on to their market share.
So you're probably thinking, if they're giving away so much on every sale, how can they possibly survive, let alone grow? Well, this is where their strategy gets really, really interesting. Because their margins are getting squeezed so hard, they've been forced to completely re-engineer the company to operate like a super high-efficiency manufacturing plant.
This is their playbook. It's a three-pronged attack. First, keep those production lines running. The more you build, the cheaper each home gets. Second, just relentlessly find ways to cut costs and build faster. And third, and this one's a total game changer, get the riskiest, most expensive asset, which is land, off their books.
And you know what? It's actually working. Look at this. They've managed to shave 11 days off the time it takes to build a home. That is incredible. But what's even more impressive to me is their inventory turn. It's jumped by nearly 40%. That means they're building faster and turning that inventory into cash way more quickly, which is absolutely vital for this whole high-volume model.
Now let's dig into that third point, because this asset-light strategy is a really big deal. See, traditionally, home building is an asset-heavy business. Builders would spend billions buying up land and then just let it sit on their books for years. Lennar is flipping that whole model on its head. They're using partnerships and options to control huge areas of land without tying up all their cash or taking on all the risk.
And the results of this strategy are, well, they're stunning. Just look at this. Today, Lennar only owns 2% of the land they build on. 2%! The other 98% is controlled through these clever partnerships. This frees up a massive amount of cash and makes them so much more flexible and able to handle big market swings. So all of this massive operational change is happening at the exact same time as a major shakeup in the C-suite. A true legend of the company is stepping down. Wow, what a way to describe a colleague. For over 40 years, John Jaffa was the company's plow horse, just driving the operations forward day in and day out. This quote really tells you this is the end of an era, and it speaks to the incredible legacy he's leaving behind. But here's the other part of that story, And it's just as important. They're not hiring a replacement. They believe their new, more efficient, more tech-driven systems are so effective that they can actually manage the whole company with a leaner leadership team. That is a huge vote of confidence in their new model.
Okay, so let's put all the pieces together. They've built this incredibly efficient, asset-light, home-building machine that can survive the storm. So what's the big bet they're making for the future?
Lennar's optimism is really built on these 4 pillars. They know the fundamental housing shortage hasn't just disappeared. They see all the pent-up demand from buyers who are just waiting on the sidelines for a break. Their machine is primed and ready to scale up the second the market turns. And they have a feeling the government might just step in to help with affordability, which would be like pouring gasoline on the fire.
And this right here, this brings us to the core of their entire bet. They are perfectly levered to the upside. Remember that 14% they're spending on incentives right now? Well, in a normal, healthy market, that's usually only about 4 to 6%. When the market recovers and they can dial those incentives back, that 8 to 10% difference doesn't just disappear. It flows straight to their profit margin. Their profits could absolutely explode without them having to sell a single extra home. And that, of course, leaves us with the billion-dollar question. Lennar has made its move. They've built an incredibly efficient machine that is perfectly positioned to cash in on a housing recovery. The only question that remains isn't if that recovery will happen, but when.